everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter, and today I am here with a card project featuring some of the newer products from My Favorite Things. And I'm going to be using this Too Cute stamp set because it is really too cute. I don't usually do cutesy things and I don't know what it is, but I love this little ballerina. And so I thought I would create a little card for my little girl and just tell her she's a star. She did cheer camp this past weekend and she kind of danced her little heart out there. So I'm starting out with this stamp here, and I'm stamping it in some VersaFine black onyx ink. You could use a just any pigment ink pad that you may have. And then I'm adding some clear embossing powder over it. I'm going to heat emboss it. Now the reason I'm adding the embossing powder is because I'm going to be doing some watercoloring, and I really want to keep that color inside the lines, so that embossing powder helps me to keep that inside the lines. So for my watercolor today, I am using my Tim Holtz Distress Markers. I have to admit, this is the first time I've used them. I've had them for a really long time, and I thought, I need to use those. So I'm coloring in her skin, and I'm using the scattered straw for that. And I'm just taking the brush tip of my marker, adding the color in, and then I'm taking my Zig water brush, and I'm just blending that color out. These blend really easily, and quite honestly, I was surprised at how easily they blend out. And the scattered straw was the closest that I could find to a skin color for me, and I think it worked out okay in the end. So once I get that face all blended out, I'm going to use the water brush to just blend out the arms and the legs. And you can see there, I kind of test my water brush on the back of my hand because it helps me feel how much color or water is coming out. I don't know, you can do whatever you want, but that's how I'm doing it. For her hair, I used mustard seed, but I found in experimenting with that, it was really bright. So I'm just toning it down with a little tea dye distress marker as well, and then I am going to blend it out because I want this little girl to have blonde hair, but I don't want it to be electric yellow. So for her dress, it would be obvious to do pink for her tutu and her, I don't know, what are they called, leotards or whatever that they wear on the top, but my little girl does not like pink. So I am using a few different colors here. I'm using peacock feathers, tumbled glass, and broken china, and I'm going to kind of create an ombre effect on her little tutu here. So I'm starting with the peacock feathers, and I've just scribbled the color onto an acrylic block. Now I had experimented with this, and adding the color directly to the paper was giving me too intense a harsh line with this peacock feathers. So I just decided to kind of use it on the block and pick it up with my water brush and blend it together. Now as I'm working from the peacock feathers to the next color, which is it the broken glass, tumbled glass, broken china? Broken china. I'm kind of mixing the colors together on the block first, and then kind of moving from that peacock feathers to the next color. And then I'm going in with the full broken china for that second color. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll mix on the block a little bit of the broken china and the tumbled glass and kind of blend those together, and then go to the tumbled glass in full. So I needed a little more color on my block, so I scribbled a little bit more. And for the top part of her leotard, I am going to just use peacock feathers. Now, if I'm calling this something wrong, forgive me. I am not a dance mom, and this is the first year my daughter's done cheer, so I don't even know the terminology for all this stuff. I thought she needed a little pink on her cheeks, so I added a little bit of pink and then just blended that out. And then I let her dry, and I tapped on some Wink of Stella. Now, I'm tapping it on because I don't want to move the color too much, and I felt like if I created brush strokes on there that it would move the color too much, so I kind of just tapped it on. Now, I'm using this negative part of the die cut, which I have cut her out before, and I'm lining that up over my stamped image, and that's going to help me position my die exactly where I need it to get the perfect cut around her. So I positioned that negative piece over the stamped piece, and then I just kind of adjusted my die until it locked in there, ran it through my Big Shot, and that gave me the perfect cutout little girl. So I thought she needed kind of a fun, sparkly background to stand on, and so I cut this circle using the stitched circle dies from My Favorite Things, and I'm inking up this myriad dot background stamp from My Favorite Things with some Versamark ink, and I'm going to take my circle and just press it onto the stamp. And then my plan is to gold heat emboss this. And I think that this turned out super cool. I lifted it up with my tweezers so that I wouldn't smudge it, because maybe I had smudged it a couple times before. And I'm just adding the gold embossing powder here, and then I can heat set it with my heat tool. Make sure when you're embossing on vellum, you let that heat tool heat up really good and hot before you take it to the vellum. And then I kind of start on the back side, quickly emboss that, and then move to the front side. Now, I wanted to create a coordinating cardstock to use for my sentiment, so I'm just pressing that Versamark ink onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock, and I coated that with some gold embossing powder as well, and I heat set that. Now, it didn't give me a really smooth result, so I'm just cooling it down by waving it in the air, and then I'm going to add another layer of Versamark ink and another layer of the gold embossing powder right over where I did it before, and then heat set that. And that really gave me a really nice, smooth gold effect on this. And isn't that so cool? I love watching embossing powder melt, so I didn't edit this out because I like to watch that. So now that I have my gold cardstock, I'm going to take this star die cut sentiment, this die sentiment. This is from Stars and Wishes die set, and I cut that out of the gold cardstock. Now, when I cut it out, it kind of dented the edges and kind of didn't make for a really smooth edge, so I just stuck it on a piece of Post-it tape and then remelted that embossing powder, and it smoothed that out. Now I'm going to layer this sentiment on top of that kind of shadow piece. It's from the Count the Stars die set, and I'm just using a little Zig two-way glue pin here. I've kind of rediscovered that recently, and I'm really enjoying that Zig two-way glue pin. So this is what I have so far, and she's looking good, and I have to admit, you see that tag there, I didn't use it, but I am going to ink up this Myriad Dot background stamp again, stamp it onto my card background. This is just some Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock, and I'm going to add some clear embossing powder. Now, this is really hard to see in the video and even in the pictures. In the pictures, you can kind of see it. But my goal here was just to add a little bit of texture to this background piece, just to kind of add some interest, because there was just too much plain white going on. So now I was finally, I think, happy with that effect, and I'm adding some foam tape to the back of my adorable little ballerina, and I'm going to adhere her on to that really awesome piece of gold embossed vellum. By the way, you would spend a ton of money on embossed vellum if you were buying it from a craft store, and you can totally make it on your own. I also hid some foam adhesive on the back of that vellum circle as well, so that the vellum circle sits up off of the card base, and now I'm adhering that onto my card front. I'm going to add some foam adhesive just to the left side of this star sentiment, and then I'll add some Zig two-way glue to the other side, because that'll make it nice and even across that circle that's already popped up, and I'm going to add that to the front of my card as well. And I just kind of tucked it behind my little ballerina girl there, and I'm going to finish off this sentiment with the "You Are a Star." Now, this sentiment is from the tutu kind. I'm going to do a little stamp surgery here, so hold on to your britches if it makes you nervous. It says, this sentiment says "You Are Tutu," so I'm just inking up the "You Are" part of that, and I've kind of shaped it to that banner shape, which I've cut with the Blueprints 25 Dynamic set. And now once I got that "You Are" stamped, I'm going to cut off the U, and I'm going to selectively ink just the A on that R. So it says "You Are Tutu." Now it says "R Tutu," and I'm just stamping the A from that, and that gives me a sentiment that says "You Are a Star." And so I just trim that down, and once again, I'm just going to tuck that behind my little ballerina girl there, and that makes a really cool sentiment. Now, I wanted to add just a little bit more sparkle, because even though my girl doesn't like pink, she likes sparkle. So that's the one thing I got going for me there. And I have this precision tip applicator on my multi-matte medium. I have actually had to replace that because I kind of went all Hulk on it, like I totally hulked out one day and ripped the top right off of it. So be careful and make sure you clean that nozzle before you replace the cap back on it, and that will help keep it nice and clean and keep it from sticking. So I'm just going to create this stitched background to add my card front to, and I'm adding a layer of fun foam behind it, as behind the card front that I've created as well. And I've just added some score tape to that to make sure it has a nice firm adhesive on it. And I'll add the foam to that stitched piece, that blue stitched piece, then take off the backer from the score tape on the top and add my card front. And that kind of finishes off my card for today. I added that entire thing to a top folding Solar White, Nina Solar White card base. That'll finish off my card for today. Now I have to do a little fist pump here because I managed to make a card without any gold glitter cardstock. So if you're all proud of me, make sure that you let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube so that you don't miss any of my crafty videos. You can get more information as well as links to the products over on my blog as well as in the description at YouTube. Thanks for stopping by today, and I hope you have a fabulous day.